Continuing now with last night's winner of the New Hampshire primary, Donald Trump. Now, Friday, the feds announced that China is selling $366 billion more merchandise to we Americans than we Americans sell back to the Chinese. $366 billion trade gap. Specifically, how will you fix that?
You know, this is my big point. I've been talking about it for years.
I know, but I want to know how you're going to do it.
The number's actually higher than that. Well, listen to me. I'll tell you, okay? We are going to have to go. One of the reasons they're able to do it is they devalue their currency to such an extent. They are the single greatest currency manipulator that's ever been on this planet. And if they don't stop devaluing, we're going to have to charge them a tax on the goods coming in. They, by the way, Bill, just in case you don't know it, they tax our goods going into China. It's a totally unfair deal. And what's happened, every time they devalue their currency, they make it impossible and more difficult for our businesses to deal with China on the other side. The gap is getting bigger and bigger. It's really called the deficit. The deficit is getting bigger and bigger. And unless we have somebody very smart and very tough that understands it, and our president does not understand it, but I understand it better than anybody, we're going to have nothing but trouble.
So you're going to say to them,
505.
If
Bill,
you
it's going to be $505 billion this year.
I'm going to slap a tariff on all Chinese goods coming into the United States. Okay. They then are going to say to you,
yes,
President Trump, we are going to sell all of our bonds that we are holding for America's debt. We're going to flood the market with them and crash your currency. That's what a trade war would do.
They're not going to crash. No. They wouldn't crash. They won't crash our currency. They'll crash their economy. That's what they're going to crash. They start playing that. They will crash their economy. You will have a... Let me explain something. We're too dependent on China. We're too dependent. They will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen if they ever did that. That's what would happen, Bill. I mean, you know what people don't understand in our dealings with China? We have the cards. They don't have the cards.
It's a high
Unfortunately, we have political leaders that don't. We have the cards because they need our economy.
And that was a good, specific answer, and I appreciate that. So now let's go on to your statement. You're going to deport 12 million people. As you have to know, each one of the 12 million people here illegally is entitled to due process. That means that if Donald Trump, as president, issues a deportation order, they are entitled to a court hearing in front of a judge. With 12 million people, it takes us up to 2,000. They are.
Excuse me.
2,086.
If they're here illegally, Bill, if they're here illegally, they may or they may not be. Just like the argument we had about the anchor babies.
I'm telling you,
in my opinion, you don't need...
All settled law says once you're here, you are entitled to our constitutional protections. Every single case. All right. Just so you know.
I disagree. Okay?
Okay.
I disagree. That doesn't mean I wouldn't do that. That doesn't mean I wouldn't do it.
They'll block it.
If they're here illegally, I disagree with you.
They'll block it. The federal courts will block it.
They're here illegally, Bill.
Look, Obama just got blocked on...
They're here illegally.
It doesn't matter. They're entitled to constitutional protections. Obama just got blocked on A, his illegal immigration amnesty, and B, him telling the coal companies that you can't have a certain amount of emissions. He got blocked on both of them.
You and I had an argument not so long ago about the anchor babies, where somebody comes, has the baby here, and they're forever going to be taken care of. And everybody said you need a new constitutional amendment to end that. They turned out to be wrong. I turned out to be right. You just need an act of Congress. You don't need a new constitutional amendment. And we had the same discussion.
You can change the law, but not retroactively. You can change it, but not retroactively.
Okay. So, Bill, what you're saying would mean that if somebody just walked across the border, and they're here for a couple of days, and a Border Patrol catches them, they can't bring them back. We have to go through a whole long process,
right? It depends.
Right? Because you're not right about that.
They can catch them in the act of crossing. If they catch them in the act of crossing, they can repatriate right away. If they're here and established, they get the due process. All right, one more thing.
Right, I disagree.
All right, okay. That's what makes our program great. We have lively debate. You know that. All right, in Colorado, they legalized pot, okay? $1 billion industry, $1 billion a year industry in Colorado. And all of the dealers, all the pushers are going to Colorado, loading up on the free pot because it's legal, not free, legal, and then zooming around the country selling it. Does that concern you?
It's a real problem.
What would you do?
It's a real problem.
What would you do?
There's another problem. In Colorado, the book isn't written on it yet, but there's a lot of difficulty in terms of illness and what's going on with the brain and the mind and what it's doing. So, it's coming out probably over the next year or so. It's going to come out
But what
loud
would you
and clear,
do
but
to stop it?
It is.
What would you do as president?
I would really want to think about that one, Bill, because in some ways I think it's good and in other ways it's bad. I do want to see what the medical effects are. I have to see what the medical effects are. And by the way, medical marijuana, I am in favor of it 100%. But what you're talking about, perhaps not. It's causing a lot of problems out there.
But the medical marijuana thing is a ruse that I got a headache and I need 2 pounds of marijuana.
It is, but I know people that have serious problems,
but that
and
can be
they
taken
did
care
that,
of.
and it really does help them.
Okay. All right, was that fun? Fun interview? Another one? Fun? You like this show better than anyone, right?
It's always a pleasure after I have 1 hour's sleep coming in from New Hampshire to be on your show.
But
it's always a great honor.
Tan. You still tan, even though you're not getting any sleep. I don't know how that happens. Donald Trump, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Maybe it's good.
And once again, congratulations on the victory in New Hampshire.